spent 12 months learning code the wrong way. For a year, I coded every night before I got my first software engineering paycheck. I had 34 Udemy courses. I tried to learn 5 different programming languages, and I had 0 real finished projects. And when I finally tried to build something real, I froze. I stared at a blank file, no idea where to start. Now, that was a few years ago. I eventually figured it all out, built a career out of this stuff, and shipped real projects. But I wasted so much time getting here. And if I could do it all over in 2026, I would do almost everything differently. Because the job market isn't just different, it's a bit more hostile. So if I was learning how to code from scratch, starting right now, here's exactly what I would do. First off, let me take you back to where it all started. I had just decided I wanted to become a developer in early 2016. I was excited. I was motivated. I was ready to change my life. So what did I do? Spent the first 60 days researching which programming language I should learn first. No joke, I spent like 2 months not coding, just researching. I watched probably 50 videos titled Python versus JavaScript, JavaScript versus Java. I convinced myself this decision was so important that getting it wrong could ruin my entire path forward. Looking back, I was just procrastinating. The research felt productive. It wasn't. But we software devs love to debate languages, when in reality, your first language barely matters. But here's what actually matters. Can you build something that works? Can you solve real technical problems? Can you think in systems? Those skills transfer to any language. But at the same time, you don't want to pick your programming language based on vibes. You want to pick based on like the paycheck, right? So if you want a job this year, I'd pick JavaScript or TypeScript for reach. I'd pick Python for AI, data, or scripting, or Java, since it was most recently the most popular language used at enterprise companies. I was 2 months paralyzed by a decision that was completely insignificant. And you've probably been there too. Maybe you're there right now, stuck and convinced that choosing Python over JavaScript or JavaScript over Python is going to define your entire career. I'll be the first one to tell you, it won't. I promise you, 5 years from now, you'll just be glad that you started. So if I started over in 2026, one day to decide, like right now, I would choose JavaScript for web applications, unless I have a high interest in AI, which I do, then therefore I would go with Python. But if I want the best opportunity to just get in at a major company, not FANG, I'm talking about just any company, I'd probably dive into Java. But again, you can pick any of them. It doesn't matter if you can kind of, once you start getting really good at one, you can start learning the other ones very easily. All right, now that's done. We can move on. The best language is the one you stick with long enough to build something real. If you're liking my videos, I do a lot of Python stuff. So pick Python. You can watch some of my videos to get started, but it really doesn't matter what you choose. But honestly, my paralysis of picking a first language was my first mistake. What came next was worse. At the time of 2016, I finally picked Java. So I had progress, right? Wrong. This is when I call myself, I was like the course collector. If there was a Udemy sale going on, I bought it. I had every Spring Boot course on Udemy. I'd see that $12.99 price tag, and I'd think I'd be stupid not to buy this, 20, 30-hour course. So that's why I have 34 courses now. And that's literally the actual number of courses I own on Udemy. I counted them. And I felt like I was learning everything. Every completed module gave me that dopamine hit that like, hell yeah, Eric, great job. You've completed module 7. And I really thought I was making progress. I mean, I was making progress from nothing because I didn't know how to code. But eventually you hit like the tip and then it just becomes dopamine hits. And I know this because I try to build my own to-do list. My first attempt at building something alone. No tutorial, no instructor, just me and a blank IDE. I couldn't do it. I'd probably built 3 to-do lists following other tutorials, but someone was telling me exactly how to do it. But when I had to do it by myself, I was completely lost. I didn't even know how to start up my first Java file. I didn't know where to begin. That situation is what I call tutorial hell. You feel like you're learning, but you're just following instructions. It's the difference between GPS directions and actually knowing how to navigate somewhere. So if I started over in 2026, one foundational course per skill I'd probably go with. So I would go with Fast API for Python, and I would learn one agent development framework because that's kind of the big thing right now. So I'd probably go into LangChain because I think getting into AI engineering is a great idea right now. And then I would just start building immediately. Well, honestly, before I felt ready, before I understood everything. And you might be asking, like, what would you build? And like, everyone says build something. And that's a great question because this is where most people get stuck. They finish a course and think, now I need to build a project, but I have no idea what project I actually want to build or need to build. Usually the advice I give is build something that you would actually use, something that solves a small problem in your own life. Like if I was in the beginning, for me right now, I need a script so bad for my downloads directory. My downloads folder needs help. I need it to automatically just go to certain folders. This project doesn't need to be impressive. It just needs to be real, something that helps you with your current day-to-day. When you're building something that you actually care about, you push through the frustration. You don't quit at the first error message, but you want to pick something slightly out of your comfort zone, something a little bit outside your level, not too far beyond. You want to have enough that you can figure it out, but that gap is what you need to utilize to grow. Like the gap of where you are and where your project needs to be, that little intersection is where all the learning comes from. Luckily, AI can help bridge that gap more since we can prompt the AI to explain its thought process or explain to us why it's doing certain things. This, of course, brings me to one of the biggest advantages that you have in 2026 that I did not have in 2016. When I was learning to code, if I got stuck, I had two options. Google and pray someone on Stack Overflow has asked the exact same question and has an answer, or bang my head on the wall and just want to quit programming. Sometimes I'd spend, an entire evening trying to figure out one bug, one error message, no idea what it even meant. And I genuinely had no one to ask at night. But now there's a third option that you have, and it changes everything. 84% of developers now use AI tools in their workflow. That's not a prediction, that's current data. If you're learning to code in 2026 without leveraging AI, you're choosing to learn with one hand tied behind your back. But here's the critical difference most beginners miss. AI is not a replacement for learning. Vibe coding is not the future as in present right now. AI is an accelerant and it helps you maybe increase your productivity, but it doesn't replace you. You can have a artificial developer sitting next to you that you can bounce questions off and it can, write some of your simple stuff and it can even write more complex things. But you just want to make sure that you're using it to learn so you know what's happening instead of just having it do the work for you if you genuinely want to be a software engineer. The key is using AI as a teacher, not a crutch. To go back to the to-do example, don't tell the AI just to go build you a to-do list. Say here is my plan on how to build a to-do list. Here's my, application design. What would you make better? What entities would you create? Why would you create those entities? Always find the answer behind every question. When it gives you a solution, don't just, let it input it and move on. Ask why it works. Ask why it happened. If you ask it to change some lines, ask why it's changing certain lines. You just really want to dive in and make sure that it teaches you. Understanding of knowing code and knowing programming is not going away. As the world gets more technical, your technical skills is only going to become more important. And honestly, that's the difference between using AI to skip learning and using AI to, 10x yourself. But AI alone won't get you hired. One issue I did was I kept waiting until my projects were ready enough to share. Something impressive, something I wanted to brag about and be like, yeah, I'm the CEO of this app or I made this app. For me, that day never came. I was trying to build this sports app where you could book parks and rent out the facility. For example, I'm a basketball player. I don't know how I look on the screen, but I'm 6'5". I played college basketball and I wanted a way to build an app that could rent out outdoor park basketball courts to play with friends. But I had no idea what I was doing. Every time I looked at the code, I just saw problems, red lines everywhere. things I wanted to fix, features that weren't even close to being done, and let alone I knew how to do it. I never shared any of my progress. I never pushed it to GitHub. I kept it hidden on my local machine, waiting for a day when it would be good enough to share with the world. Well, that day never came. And I truly believe perfect is the enemy of stuff getting shipped. If I start over in 2026, everything goes on GitHub from day one. It's public. I'm sharing it. Every project, even the terrible ones, get pushed immediately. I start documenting my journey on, every social media like X or LinkedIn. Like I'm already doing this now. I would be documenting everything to make sure that there's visible progress happening for myself, for accountability, and to create its own track record. Your GitHub is your resume in 2026, not your certificates, your actual projects, your actual ability to ship. It's part of the process to get into software engineering. Don't wait for perfect. Just ship when it's functional. You can always improve it later, but you can't improve something that doesn't yet exist. Speaking of things that I wish I had known earlier, let's talk about probably the biggest lie in coding education. And that's the learn to code and get a job in 6 months. You see it everywhere. Boot camp, marketing, YouTube thumbnails, success stories online, on Reddit, on Threads, wherever it is that just sound too good to be true. They usually are. My real numbers to get in was a little over 12 months from starting my first developer job. And I even had a competitive edge or a competitive advantage. And that's because I worked with technical people so I could bounce questions off of them. My first role was a business analyst, which is more or less like the liaison between the tech and the business. So I would talk to the business, see what they wanted, and I would be the one communicating with the tech team on what the next features should be overall. So I met and talked with a bunch of developers on a daily basis. Even with that competitive edge, it still took me over a year to become a software engineer. The 6-month, myth just does damage. You hit month 4 and you start struggling with basic concepts. You start thinking, is something wrong with yourself? That feeling that everyone else is growing faster than you and that you should probably quit. I felt this. Like month 6 came around, then month 8, then month 10th. And I started wondering if I was just wasting time because I felt like everyone knew how to do everything better than me. I just want to be here to reassure you that nothing is wrong with you. Learning to code is hard, man. You got to rewire your brain to think in systems and logic. That takes time. It really does. If I started over, I'd have at least a 12-month minimum timeline. I'd be expected to struggle. I would expect to feel stupid sometimes. And I would expect days where nothing makes sense and you just want to give up and you gave it 15 minutes of effort. Every developer who looks like geniuses face the same challenges. People just don't talk about it because it makes them look dumb, and people in software engineering don't like to sound dumb, so they just don't talk about it. The people who succeed aren't the fastest learners. They're the ones who don't quit when it gets hard. Here's what I really wish someone told me about getting hired as a software developer. And overall, this might sound a bit controversial, but it completely changed my trajectory. When I was ready to apply for jobs, I did what everyone says. I try to make a polished resume. I had job boards. I used Indeed and LinkedIn, I believe. And I would kind of skip over the easy apply and go straight to the company website. And I applied to everything with the junior title in it. I don't know how many, but definitely over 100. We'll say 127. So if I had 127, I only got 4 callbacks. That's 3%. And I thought my resume was good for a junior developer. And I know it's tough. I did it. You send out 10 applications on Monday, and by Friday you hear nothing, and then you keep refreshing your email, and then next week you see your automated message because you didn't get through the filters saying we proceeded with other candidates. It sucks. Some companies don't even bother responding either. You just never hear back ever. And after you've done 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 applicants, you start doubting everything. You start saying maybe your projects aren't good enough. Maybe you're not explaining yourself well enough. Maybe you should have picked a different programming language or potentially a completely different career. And you start wondering, is everyone just better than you? I started taking rejections personally. Each one felt like proof that I wasn't good enough, that I've wasted a year of my life learning something that I couldn't apply or actually do professionally. So here's what I want to say to kind of just prepare you And it's that the junior developer market is brutal. You know, there are hundreds of applicants for every position. Your resume is just one PDF and a stack of PDFs. You're competing against people. You're competing with people with like boot camp degrees, computer science degrees, maybe self-taught developers. You're competing with people who are maybe getting laid off. And now there's this whole like AI thing going on right now where people don't want to hire junior developers. Like the odds are stacked against you. So how did I actually get hired? Now, I didn't have as much competition, but there still was competition. Like there's still more applicants than jobs, I feel like, when I applied. But I did it differently. I transitioned from a business analyst to a software developer within the same company. I had already built the relationships. I proved to them that I was a great person to have on their team. The risk of hiring me was lower because they already knew me and I was already kind of in the company budget. And then from there, I started applying once I got real experience, like to new companies. Once I had that first job on my resume, you know, everything changes. And I know you're like, well, Eric, yeah, you got that first job on your experience. That's the hard part, right? It is. And because, you know, experience on your resume unlocks, you know, new opportunities. However, I do believe this is an underrated approach for many, and I highly recommend doing what I did. If you have a job right now, even if it's not in tech, look for opportunities to code at your current company. Or is there a tech team you can work with? Build internal tools, automate something, show them you can do it. It's easier to get promoted into a dev role than to get hired from the outside. And if you don't have like years of experience, being able to apply to jobs with real projects can also change everything. The best time to start learning to code was yesterday. The next best time to learn how to code is right now. Good luck, friends.